Hi, I'm Dave Ganskopp from the Eastern Oregon Ag Research Center with an Eastern Oregon Ag Minute. For the next few sessions, we'll be talking about some mineral nutrition specifics of beef cattle. In southeast Oregon, most of us winter cattle on meadow hay that is typically deficient for several required minerals. In the month just before to the month just after calving, it's especially important to meet stock mineral needs. This is a period when unborn calves are putting on the most growth, and just after birthing, the cow needs to mobilize minerals and compounds stored in her body to supply nutrients and antibodies to the calf through her milk. Deficiencies at this time for a mineral like magnesium can induce a rapid onset of symptoms and result in sudden death of mature cows. Tomorrow we will start on some specific minerals and briefly explain what functions they contribute to in cattle. This session we're focusing on magnesium, a much needed mineral for cattle and its functions within the animal. Magnesium is one of the most common ions inside cells. It's needed for the structural integrity of bones and teeth, and perhaps most importantly, is a catalyst for many of the reactions for moving energy about within cells. A catalyst is a compound that is not burned up in chemical reactions, but if it's not in the neighborhood, the reaction moves along very slowly. Outside of an animal's cells, magnesium helps electrical signals move between nerves and muscles. If it becomes deficient there, muscles can still contract, but signals from the brain to tell them to relax do not get through. This is called tetany in cattle, and animals die because they can't breathe. Magnesium is deficient in our grasses for most of the year, so it's important that one's mineral supplements contain adequate amounts. This session we're focusing on phosphorus, a much needed mineral for cattle and its functions within the animal. Phosphorus is said to be the most deficient mineral around the world, and our grasses are low in phosphorus for about 9 months of the year. Phosphorus is found in bone, and high concentrations occur in blood, muscle, and nerve cells. Like magnesium, it helps most of the energy transfer reactions in the body, and it assists with the pH balance of body fluids by keeping them from becoming too basic or too acidic. Cattle that are phosphorus deficient exhibit a behavior called pica. That is, they begin chewing or eating things they don't normally consume, like bones, wood, metal, or soil. It's thought the animal somehow senses a deficiency and tries eating unusual things to get its body chemistry back in balance. Obviously, this is another nutrient that is a must-have for mineral supplements here in southeast Oregon. This session we're focusing on copper, a much-needed micro-mineral for cattle and its functions within the animal. Copper is deficient year-round in our forages. Copper is important in connective tissues like ligaments and tendons, affects hair or wool color, helps in the central nervous system, reproduction, the immune system, and fat metabolism. Blood and liver samples from our cattle show they are just on the edge of being copper deficient. The deficiency indicator easily seen among black cows is a reddish or slightly blonde tint to their hair. This is not natural and is a sure sign of a deficiency. Cattle with even a slight copper deficiency will look healthy but not react properly to many of the vaccines given to prevent disease. They may end up getting the disease even though they've received the proper shots. Quite often one blames a bad batch of vaccine, when indeed the animal just couldn't generate the needed immune responses. Some recent analyses of our rangeland grasses over 2 9-month grazing seasons showed that copper, zinc, and sodium are all well below concentrations needed by cattle throughout the entire grazing season. Calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, and manganese are all deficient for cattle and grasses for at least part of the grazing season. To assure that cattle have adequate nutrition to sustain both themselves and their growing calves, They should have access to a trace mineral salt mix containing proper proportions of calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, copper, zinc, manganese, and sodium. We have several free publications on forage mineral contents and mineral supplements at the station, and listeners are encouraged to stop by or call if they have some specific questions.